Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another deck profile, and today we're revisiting Dinomists. My last one was a Synchro variant, and a lot of you guys, you know, gave me really good tips and tricks over the Dinomist deck profile, that way back whenever I did that. And today I'm bringing my non-Synchro version of the deck, so I hope you guys enjoy. Another thing I want to say before we get into this, I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. Expect to see box openings real soon on this channel. There's a chance that my job will open up. I don't know if it's this upcoming Monday or the Monday after. Not sure. But where I work, it's going to open back up soon, and I'm going to start getting a bit of a cash flow so I can open up boxes for you guys. Anyways, disregard that. Hope you guys look forward to seeing box openings on this channel. I think it'd be fun. Sorry for that pause, guys. I thought I heard somebody back in my parents' room or something like that. Anyways, hope you guys look forward to seeing box openings eventually on this channel. I'm not talking like any expensive box openings, just some cheaper ones. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to get right into this deck profile. Starting us off with our 6 scales, we have 3 copies of Dinomist Rex. Oh, let me center that. Alright, there we go. Dinomist, all 6 scales. God, I already tried recording this once, and I had to stop recording because my parents came home, and yeah, it's not that they have a problem, it's just don't want to record while they're out in the dining room eating their lunch, on their lunch break. But anyways, all of the 6 scales say whenever a Dinomist card or cards you control are targeted by a card effect, yours or your opponent's, you can destroy the 6 scale to negate the effect. And yes, it negates. It doesn't just prevent like destruction. It negates the card that is targeting. So anyways, his monster effect is after damage calc, whenever it destroys an opponent's monster, you can tribute another Dinomist monster you control to do one of 2 things, and that is shuffle a card on your opponent's side of the field back into their deck and have him gain 100 attack permanently, or he can make a second attack in a row, and he does piercing battle damage. And that's all he does. Next up, we have 3 copies of Dinomist Brachion, which I believe this could be a side deck tech card against, or not against, but to play in Cyber Dragons. I know they'd have no way of getting it back out of the extra deck, but its monster effect is if your opponent controls the monster with the highest attack and you don't already control Brachion, even if it's a tie, you can special summon this monster from the hand. It's a level 5 machine. I know it's water, but it's level 5. It's a machine. I believe it would work okay in Cyber Dragons as a side deck. If any of you play Cyber Dragons, test it out for me. I haven't had time to. I've been looking at different decks for different people. But anyways, yes, I think this card is excellent. Next up, we have 3 copies of Dinomist Plesios. Dinomist Plesios has the monster effect that your opponent's monsters lose 100 attack and defense for each Dinomist monster you control. The effect stacks, so 3 copies of this on the board. Your opponent's monsters are losing 300 per Dinomist card you control. Counts itself, so 3 copies is already a 900 attack reduction. I know that doesn't really matter because it's not effect negation. It's attack and defense modulation, which is But yeah. Next up, 3 copies of Dinomist Ankylos. Dinomist Ankylos has the effect that whenever your opponent's monster is destroyed by a Dinomist, or whenever something is destroyed by a Dinomist monster, it is banished inside. It's just Macrocosmos for the deck. But it requires a monster to be face up, which is bad, in my opinion. But it's a Dinomist deck. It's a level 4 water. It's a machine, which makes it okay. Starting us off with the 3 scales. All of the 3 scales have the same scale effect, that whenever a Dinomist card or cards you control be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy the scale instead. Doesn't negate the attack, it doesn't negate the effect that destroys it, just prevents the destruction. Now, Dinomist Terran's monster effect is whenever it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a Dinomist monster from your, or not Dinomist monster, Dinomist card from your deck to your hand. So it searches your whole deck, essentially, because the majority of the deck is monsters. So yeah. Next up, we have the other mediocre Dinomist monster that I'm not a fan of, and that's 3 copies of Dinomist Stego. It has the effect that after damage calc, if a pendulum monster you control battled, you can destroy both monsters. Excuse me. I just got in from outside and my allergies are already killing me. So yeah, that's all Stego does. It's not really the best effect, but it's not the worst. You can tech it into any pendulum deck that can pendulum summon out rank 4, or not rank 4, level 4s. God, I can't think. Why am I so dumb? But moving on, 3 copies of Dinomist Ceratops. It has the effect that if all monsters you control, minimum 1, are Dinomist, you can special summon it from your hand. So basically, open Brachion, open Ceratops going second. You just, without normal summon, make a Link 2 in a Pendulum deck. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if it's anything to boast about, but, I mean, granted it's 2 cards. It's whatever. Next up, for the last monster in the deck, 3 copies of Dinomist Spinos. He is the strongest monster in the deck, by far, because he has the effect to, during the main phase, tribute another Dinomist monster you control to gain 1 of 2 effects. He can attack directly and he can attack twice. Notice I didn't say once per turn, because his effect is not once per turn. So you can, during your main phase, tribute 2 Dinomist monsters to have him gain both effects, so he can attack your opponent directly and twice. Really good card. He can OTK on his own. Limiter removal makes it very possible for the OTK. Open 3 copies of him, or not 3, open 2 copies of him, another Dinomist monster, your field spell, or whatever, you know. The situations are very, very weird, but yeah. So that's it for the monsters. I know I'm kind of flying through the deck profile again, like I did last time, but that's because I don't want these videos to be like 30 minutes long, because I don't think anybody wants to sit through a 30-minute long deck profile. I know you guys probably don't care for 30-minute deck profiles. You probably just skip through to figure out the cards. So, again, trying to fire through this. Next up, we have 3 copies of Dinomist Charge. Aside from 1 other card in this deck, okay, card sleeves cooperate. Aside from 1 other card in this deck, this is your best. This is the best spell card in your deck for this deck. Charge allows you to add any Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand when you activate it. And then it has a mandatory effect that the first time a Dinomist monster or monsters are sent from your field to the not to the graveyard, to the extra deck, you can add 1 of those monsters, 1 of those face-up pendulum monsters back to your hand. It's a hard once per turn on that, it's a hard once per turn on the search, but it's not a hard once per turn on the add back to hand, I believe. I don't know. I know something on there is a hard once per turn. But you can only activate one of them per turn, or something like that. I don't know. Next up, 3 copies of Moray of Greed. Moray of Greed helps you find cards you need in your hand, while also, getting rid of stuff you don't need in your hand, which is great. Specifically monsters, because it shuffles 2 water monsters back into your deck, lets you draw 3 cards. It's a hand neutral, really nice. So, boom, love it. It's a great card for all water decks. Next up, we have 3 copies of Limiter Removal. I don't know if this card is actually at 3. If it is, great, but if it's not, replace one of the limiters with a Terraforming, because I do run the field spell. So, there you go. There's a good note for you. Limiter Removal, if you don't know what it does, double the attack of all machine monsters on the field, or on your side of the field, and destroy them during the end phase, if there is an end phase. Next up, we have 2 copies of Dinomist, or Dynamic Power Load. If it was Dinomist Power Load, it'd actually be a good card. However, it is not. Which makes it suck a little bit more, but I think it's still a good field spell. It has a mediocre attack and defense boost of 300 for all your Dinomist monsters. However, it does have a really nice effect that all of your Dynomists basically become Armades. Basically, whenever a Dynomist you control attacks, or whenever a Dinomist battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, or end of damage calc, or something like that. Yeah, end of damage step. And then the last spell in the deck is 1 copy of Raigek. Obviously, just to help you push for OTKs. And who touched my Raigek? So that is it for the spells. Now into the traps. The shortest part of this deck profile, because it's literally 4 cards. We have 2 copies of Dinomist Howling. Howling is a really good support card that should be a spell. It should honestly be a spell, but it's not, because they thought it would be overpowered to have a spell card that has the effects this has. Because, whenever this card is activated, you can set your scales from the deck. I know, kind of broken, but you have to set 2 Dinomist monsters, and the scales are 3 and 6. Not that bad. It's really not. But the other effect is, if this card was already face up on the field, you can, once per turn, tribute a Dinomist you control, and then bounce a card your opponent controls back to their hand. So it's basically a archetypal compulse, because since it's a trap, you can use it on both players' turns. If it was a spell, the only way it would be able to be used on both players' turns is if it was a quick effect. So I believe this card could have been a spell and it would have been fine, because the compulse effect would only be able to be activated on your turn, and being able to have instant access to your scales, I know, is a +1, just a free +1. But again, it's like, Dynomists aren't that good. A free +1 would be amazing. Anyways, for the last trap, 2 copies of Dinomist Rush. Hard once per turn on it, but it special summons a Dinomist monster from your deck, and that Dinomist monster that you summon from the deck is unaffected by all card effects, but then it is destroyed on end phase. So yeah, that is it for the main deck. Into the extra deck. I know it's not going to be perfect, but it's something. So starting us off, we have 1 copy of Bahamut Shark. You guys all probably already know what else is in here since Bahamut Shark's here. But what it does is, once per turn, detach a material to summon a rank 3 or lower water Xyz monster from your extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. I believe it ignores summoning conditions. Yes, it does, because... ignore me. Yeah, Bahamut Shark. It's good for water decks that have rank 4s. Next up, number 61, Volcasaurus. You could replace this with a number of things. I run it just for the simple fact that if you don't punch your opponent in the face hard enough, which is very unlikely, but it's there. If you don't punch your opponent in the face hard enough, you can use this thing's effect, which is once per turn, detach a material, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, burn your opponent for its attack points. Yeah. It's not the best. It's early Xyz era, but it's fun, and it has come in handy a couple of times when playing this deck. Next up, number 101, Silent Honor Arc or Shark. Yeah. What it does is there's two effects. Detach a material to prevent this card from being destroyed by battle arc effect. Cool. Or detach 2 materials to suck an opponent's special summon monster or face-up attack position monster. I don't know. It's one of those two. I think it's face-up attack position monster. I don't know. But it can get rid of a floodgate monster that doesn't prevent you from going in the extra deck, or doesn't prevent you from special summoning. So yeah, this thing does the suck, which is really nice. Next up, we have Abyss Dweller. In my last recording my last attempt of trying to record this, I tried to make this thing a number monster. Yay. So Abyss Dweller, everybody probably knows what this card does because it's somewhat rampant in the meta from what I've seen. But quick effect, detach a material to negate all grave effects for a turn. Pretty good, pretty good. So yeah. Then next up, this is where things can definitely change in the extra deck. But I just, meh. 2 copies of Nova to match 2 copies of Infinity. If they stop 1 Nova or 1 Infinity, you have another Nova Infinity. Don't worry about Nova's effect because it's literally its effect only works in Cyber Dragons. It's Infinity that you really want to care about, because Infinity has the effect that it can, once per turn, detach a material, Omni negate. So, yes, and it also has an effect to steal or to suck a card as material as well. So, suck one of your opponent's floodgates. Or it has to be a monster. It has to be a monster. So if it's like a spell and trap, floodgate, can't suck it. But if it's a monster floodgate and you can get around it, get this thing out, you suck that shit. Suck it. I need to stop making that pun. And then lastly, totally awesome. Everybody knows that everybody should have known this was going to be in here, because Bahamut Toad. Toad just got hit to 1 as of April, which is okay with me. I only have the 1 copy. I only need the 1 copy because it can recycle itself back to the extra deck. And this is another Omni negate that whatever it negates, you can set it to your side of the field, which is amazing. So yeah, that is it for the Xyz. On to the links. Starting us off, we have 1 copy of Cleaford Genius. It has the effect that whenever 2 or more machine monsters are special summoned to its zones, you can add a level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand. You don't really go above level 5 in this deck, but, it searches Spinos and all those good ones. And then it has another effect where you can target 1 card both players control and negate both cards' effects, which is fine. Next up, 1 copy of Mistar Boy. I love Mistar Boy. He has the effect to recur himself back to the extra deck but he also boosts your water monsters by 500 attack and defense and lowers your opponent's fire monsters by 400 attack and defense. So yay, more attack modulation. I am at 20 minutes on this recording. I need to get through this. Next up, 1 Zephyr Metaltron. It's just really good. 3 downward arrows. It gains an effect whenever monster summoned from the extra deck leaves the field from one of its zones. And it can also banish a card you control that was summoned from the extra deck to banish a card your opponent controls that was special summoned from the extra deck. So, yay, fun. I love it. It's a great card. It's beautiful. He does phenomenal work. Next up, 1 copy of Akashic Magician. Just a okay way of removing something without targeting. It's also 2 generic materials. Other than that, I can't really say much else about the card. It's not the greatest in the world, but hey, you can make this and then summon something like Brachion from your hand and make Metaltron. Well, no, never mind. You can't summon Brachion. You just pendulum summon one from the extra deck, and then you make Metaltron. I'm trying. I really am. This card is just not the best in the world, but it's not the worst. It gets a card off the board. That's all I can say. Next up, Topologic Bomber Dragon. This card is just good for like a stunny board state where you can, summon one and then, or summon one to a zone it points to. Nuke the board of all monsters in the main monster zone. Punch your opponent for 3k if they don't have something in the extra monster zone. And if they do, you punch over it. It's okay. It's not the best. You're not really going to be making this unless you've expunged a lot of resources. But the chances of that are very slim. Because the main one you're going to make is this next card. Borreload Dragon. Everybody knows Borreload. Everybody does. He is the quick effect to lower. He has a quick effect to lower an opponent's monster's attack by 500, and it cannot be responded to. And then it has another effect where it can steal an opponent's monster, or basically whenever it attacks, or whatever it attacks, you can have it go to a zone Borreload points to, and then that's Borreload's attack for the turn, which isn't horrible. I mean, it sucks a monster. Well, that's it for the deck profile, guys. If you did enjoy, please be sure to hit that like button down below. Comment what you think about the deck profile. Comment cards that you think would be good in this deck. I read the comments on the last one. I replied a lot, and I did look into a lot of the cards that were suggested, and I love the suggestions. Sadly, I don't have a way to get my hands on some of those right now, but when I do get the opportunity, you can definitely see this deck coming back in the future with another update. But for right now, this is my current list. This is the current list that I've had the most success with. It OTKs somewhat consistently. I can't quite say that with full confidence because I've only ever really pulled off an OTK with this deck like 20 out of 30 times. I have played this deck a lot though. This is one of my favorite decks. It can get to a board state that is very controlling. It can stop your opponent by taking away their normal summon with Howling. Had to think of that card for a second. But yeah, this deck is fun. It's really good. You can throw in some Solemns in here. You can throw in different extra deck monsters. Like, if anything, I would suggest taking out one of your Nova Infinity and the Akashic Magician and the Topo and replace them with something a little bit better. But, yeah. Anyways, again, like I said, hope you all enjoyed. This was my Dinomist deck profile revisited. And if you did enjoy, like I said, hit that like button down below. Comment what you think and comment card suggestions for this deck. And then, if you are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 100 subs by the end of this year. Hopefully, I don't know. I would love to hit 100 by the end of the year. With everything going on, I don't know if that's possible because a lot of bigger channels are, pumping out better content than I am. Like I said, I need to stop rambling. This video is almost 26 minutes long. I'm sorry I wasted so much time. Peace.